Buenos días. It is Thursday. Morning, Mics. Good morning. Brought to you by our friends at Van Brook Insurance. Okay, guys. Here we are. Jesus, right? Renee Nicole Good. Put up her full picture. Yeah. 37 years old, mother of three, poet. Yeah, she's blocking the street in Minneapolis, and the ICE group in cars approach her. She gets spooked. She backs up. She pulls forward. She turns her wheels, pulls forward, and takes off. Kristi Noem, who is a full-blown idiot, called it stalking and domestic terrorism. It's like with this overly made up, like ponytail hat, flak jacketed creature is standing there calling it domestic terrorism. It's like, you've got to be kidding me. No one believes that. Steve, is my microphone off? Someone says my microphone is off. There's echoing, someone says. I think they know. Hello. Is my microphone off? Billy, turn on your mic, people are saying. Steve?
Try that.
Hello? Is the microphone on? Yes, now it's on. I can see the green dots. We should be good. So there she is, Renee Nicole Good. She's 37 years old, mother of three, and she is a poet. And I said, I don't know if you heard me, but Kristi Noem, who is an unserious person, accused her of stalking and of domestic terrorism. I could vomit in my mouth listening to that. You've got to be kidding me. When I say an unserious person, I mean it. With the flak jacket and the full makeup and the whole program. It's just a joke. Look, to use deadly force for a federal officer, a few things have to be required. The threat of imminent death or serious bodily injury to that officer or another person. And here's the point. Her wheels were turned away from the officer. That will be the nagging detail you cannot get away from. Had she aimed her car at him and rammed him, absolutely that would be an imminent threat. But clearly she got spooked. She backed up and she turned her car away to leave. That officer was in zero danger. No, he was not in imminent danger of bodily harm or death. He was not. And there's just no way to explain that any other way. The president of the United States is trying to do that, and there is no surprise. And this is why this is everyone's biggest problem with him. And if you're a supporter of the president, unequivocally, you love what he's doing, underneath, because you're a decent person with a conscience, that bothers you. That bothers you that he rushed out and denounced this woman. He said she was very disorderly, obstructing and resisting, and that she violently, willfully, and viciously ran over the ICE officer. That is unyielding, that is unpresidential, and most of all, that is untrue. It's just a lie. And again, I know Trump pretty well for years and years. The difference between what his problem is he does not decipher between the truth and a lie. It's all narrative, right? So when I'm not telling the truth to you, something bothers me, right? There's a conscience and it bothers me. He doesn't have that. He looks at everything as narrative, and you either win the narrative or you lose the narrative. And the conscience doesn't bother you. The more important precedent is winning the narrative. And that's what's going on. So back to what needs to happen here. A subject using a vehicle as a deadly weapon, the vehicle can legally qualify as deadly force only if it's being used in a manner that poses an immediate, unavoidable threat. Unavoidable. Again, we're back to the tires were turned as she pulled away. Okay? Here you go, Beth. She hit him. Yeah, she hit him because he threw himself in front. He put himself in front of her car. And as she turned to get away, he had one small step to let her go and pull her over later and arrest her. She is not an imminent threat and she is not a danger. And there is, I mean, if you see it any other way, you have blinders on and you hate, she's not an immigrant. She's not a migrant. She's not here illegally. She's a U.S. citizen. Her name is Renee. The reasonable belief, back to the rules, there has to be a reasonable belief judged by the perspective of a trained officer at the moment that force is used, that there is a direct threat. So that leads to training, right? One thing we know is there's been a massive hiring spree at ICE. I'm not sure everybody is as deeply trained and, has a lot of experience. Some people are just brought in. I texted my friend Dean Kane, who signed up to be an ICE officer. He's a really good guy and has excellent judgment, and I like him. So but he's not responded. I'm sure it's a tough time for him because he's a really good guy. At the moments that the shots were fired by the ICE officer, what needed to be true? Well, there needed immediacy, that the threat is happening right now. Severity, that the threat is death or severe bodily image, as we said. Necessity, that there's no clear, safer alternative than that. Proportionality, that it was a last resort, not a compliance or control tool. Definitely not a last resort. Definitely not necessary. Definitely no severity there, that the threat of death or severe bodily image was imminent. Nope. Immediacy, yes. It was happening right now. Back to Trump's comments. He framed the incident as part of a broader danger from the radical left. This is absolutely primary in his playbook. Always play the zero-sum game. It is us versus them. There is an imminent threat in your life. They're coming to get you. We have to stop them. He creates the zero-sum game. Two people can never be winning at the same time. They're always, if someone's winning, someone has to be terribly losing. And that's it. That's the Trump doctrine, and it always has been. Zero-sum game. Us versus them. Create the phantom enemy and use fear of that phantom enemy. The radical left is coming for us. We had to shoot this 37-year-old mother of three who's a poet. How dumb are you? How dumb is he asking you to be to buy that bullshit? No. And stop the zero-sum game in politics where you have to be on one side or the other. No, I'm on no side. I'm on America's side. That's terrible what he did. Certain things, that's necessary what he did. But the dishonesty, the lie, the bullshit, the zero-sum game, the division is awful. Awful. And if you support him, be at least a decent enough person to say this is awful and it needs to change. Because if it doesn't change and we allow what and if he is validated in what he said, this will continue to happen. This will continue to ratchet up and they'll be, oh my God, he's supporting us. And how many of these guys are in there like, this is fun, man? Woo! Not because they love America and they think, we got to really handle immigration properly. I don't know. It's worrisome. Now, look, the mayor of Minneapolis, Jacob Fry, he's a performative little guy. He hops up on his stage and he's like, oh, this is bullshit. He tells ICE to he goes, you can see him ramping up. He ramps up to the moment. He goes, you ready? Here comes my moment. I'm going to say it. Here comes my soundbite that's going to be everywhere. Get the F out of our city. Performative. He should be sitting there in speechless. Right? As Donald Trump should be saying to the nation, oh my God, what a horrible thing that has happened here. Let's take a break. Let's take a breath. Let's think about this family. We've got a problem in our country. We got to fix it. The leadership he's not leading for all. Oh my God. I don't know. Let's see. What are the comments here? Let's see. It's a shame some people feel they need to be a vigilante against our own government. It's a dangerous game to play. They need to be eventually against our own government. Larry, are you calling Renee Good a vigilante, the lady in the car with the kids? I don't know. Don't blame him. I would have said the same, Billy. I don't know who you're talking. You would have said the same thing, Trump? You would have said the same thing, that this was a violent act and the guy's life was in danger. And okay, I don't agree with you. Let's see, Steve. I think I've seen an interview with a lady that lives on the street where this happened. Yeah, I know what you're talking about, Beth. You saw this. Let's fire up Erin Heller. She lives across the street.
Go check a pulse.
No, back up now.
I'm a physician.
Hey, listen, we understand. We got EMS coming. I get it. Just give us a second. We have medics on scene. We have our own medics.
Where are they? Where are they? How can I relax? You just killed my neighbor. You caught butter in the face. You killed my neighbor. How do you show up to work every day? How the do you do this every day? You're killing my neighbors. You're stealing my neighbors. What the man?
Go to the neighbor across the street, Erin Heller. This is a woman who watched it and did not want to come forward, but had to because she knew what was going to happen, and she witnessed it.
Side, and then what?
I hadn't even gotten dressed. I was making breakfast. I went out. I heard the commotion. I heard whistles, which is a common sign of ICE is nearby, and I went out onto my front porch. I didn't even have shoes on, and within 60 seconds, everything had already gone down. But there was an ICE convoy that seemed to be stuck, and then there was a protester who was blocking traffic, so they couldn't progress. And she was totally peaceful, and ICE, it seemed completely unorganized. They didn't really know what they were doing. They were screaming at her to move, move, move. And then they approached her vehicle aggressively and tried to open her door. And then that's when she got spooked, and she reversed her vehicle to turn her wheels to try to escape. And that's when an ICE agent stepped in front of her vehicle and said, "Stop." And then, she was already moving, and then point blank shot her through her windshield in the face.
So President Trump says the woman was disorderly, obstructing and resisting, who then violently, willfully, and viciously ran over the ICE officer who seems to have shot her in self-defense. He shared a video of the incident from a different angle. What's your response to that version of events?
I mean, that's the only reason why I'm here. I don't think I'm the most articulate person. I don't think that I don't want to be here, but I knew that this would be twisted and it would be self-defense, and that's absolutely not what happened. But it's just my life is forever changed from having witnessed this, and I just can't let this narrative that it was self-defense go any further, because it's absolutely not what it was.
Yeah. I mean, it's not self-defense. There was no imminent threat. It's not, responding to an act of violence that's going to inflict bodily harm. It's being angry. It's being frustrated that this, woman in her car isn't listening to me. So you pull her over and you arrest her. I think that's what you do. No problems with that. You got to follow the law. But shooting her in the face 3 times is not okay. And that's all there is to it. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, but I know there's a lot of Trump supporters, and what I just don't understand is the blanket support. I support some of the things he does. I told you on Venezuela, like, I understand the foreign policy. I understand the national security purposes for going in to remove Maduro. I know it. I get it. And if we don't, have a role in what happens with Venezuela's oil reserves, China and Russia will. They're circling it. They have been. It was a must move. What happens after that, I hope goes well, but I understand that move. Why do you have to be entirely against him or entirely, full of support for him? How? That means you're just forcing lies down and keeping them down in order to, like, if you give up any ground, the other side will gain. Like, is that what we are? Like, this is crazy. That's the way things are in America. No, when your president is wrong and he has gotten away with so much, he continues the overreach. He's acting in ways no United States president has ever even thought to act. I don't think any of them ever would. There's no president before that would want to get away with what he is getting away with. They wouldn't want it. Like, that's not the country I want to live in. That's not the country I want to lead. He wants it more and more. Tall Red, this is sad. My thought is all wrong. I don't think deadly force should have been used, and I don't think anyone should be protesting law enforcement. There you go. I think you just, stay out of the road. Law enforcement's doing their job. Don't pull your car in the front of the road, okay? But if you do, we're going to pull you over. It's a pain in our ass, and we're going to arrest you. Right? Then you won't be able to go to your next poetry jam. I get it. She doesn't deserve to be shot in the face. Steve, I'll turn the comments over to you. You can pick the ones you want. See what people are saying here. As I see it, our government is treating American citizens as the enemy. Renee was shot in the face 3 times because she had blocked the road and was attempting to leave. Yeah, the problem that people are going to have that you cannot get away from is that her tires were turned to go away. You're going to want to say that she tried to run over this officer. And that is just, the video evidence is right there. It isn't true. I watched Cuomo. Cuomo has a couple of different angles. He's got the angle that you see from the back of the car, and then one from across the street where you blatantly see the tires turn into the camera. Tim Walz is a disgrace in Minnesota. Okay. He's a shit governor. He's not going to run again. Bang. Fine. You got that one. There we go. Let's all, the truth is always somewhere in the middle, right? Nobody's Trump hero one day, embarrassment the next. I know. We can't celebrate him for just 1 second. He doesn't want it. He doesn't want to be all one. He wants to piss you off. I feel like it's like, and keep you like pulling your hair out about him. He wants that. I know the man. Like, his magnetism is real. If he were to go to Minneapolis and say, we're going to calm down, everyone. This is just what's happened here is a total tragedy. Folks, you've got to let law enforcement do their work. And, you know, hot trigger Tommy over here, you know, I'm sorry. We're going to have to discipline the shit out of you so this doesn't happen again. And bring people together. He's got that ability. He just won't do it. He'd rather be mean. It's like it's a sign of weakness. I can't show any type of like tenderness. I swear to God, every single little moment where he has like a cute moment or something, or he does something kind of charming with somebody, I'm like, oh, thank you, because I feel so starved in the desert. I'm like, there it is. You have this ability. Oh, great. And he yanks it away so quickly, all the time. I feel like you're in an abusive relationship. Oh, my God. All right. These ICE agents are just tough men with guns. They're not law enforcement. They're aggressive muscle heads with a weapon. Some definitely didn't sign up for the right reason, right? There's no fun. They got, by the way, you get paid pretty well. And you get to, be manly. I don't know. It is domestic terrorism by ICE. The ICE protesters are as bad as the Capitol stormers. Babies mad they can't have their way, and they learn to lose. I mean, I just, what scares me is that we're living in a country where that cop was frustrated enough to just easily shoot that woman in the face, and probably was at least smart enough to calculate that he was going to get away with it. That's scary, right? There have been at least 9 people since September. There have been at least 9 people in 5 states and Washington, D.C. who have been shot, all of them in their vehicles. And this is not, suggestive of a broader danger from the radical left, as our president said. That little woman who's in a poetry jam is not a danger from the radical left. She's pissed off, and, she shouldn't have been blocking the road. But how that warrants execution, nobody knows. I mean, nobody agrees. It just can't. He craves that power to a whole new level of crazy. Yeah, seems. Joy Shmeha. Hey, Joy. I was so scared this woman. I was so scared Steve would take that down before it was anywhere near. I got it. Just please back away from the triggers. OMG. I was so scared this woman was going to get unalived as well. Oh, you reminded me to say that. Man. I'm like heartbroken. I don't know what to do. I mean, I don't know. This has to end. Here's something I think about all the time. I watched J.D. Vance in that debate with Tim Walz, and I saw a very intelligent man who's respectful. The way he handled Tim, I thought was brilliant. He ran circles around him in the debate and destroyed the guy, but did so with respect, right? He had a tone and tenor that was the kind you need. I thought he looked so presidential. I think a lot of people were tweeting and memeing afterwards. Can we switch the order of things? Put the other one, put the 2 in the number 1 and the 1 in the number 2. And I think, so when this is, but I know how punitive Trump is. If I'm, with Donald Trump and he's talking about something inappropriate. Let's just go with something like random. All right. Let's just pick a random example. I'm with him. He's talking about something that is crazy and inappropriate, right? If I say to him, hey, dude, whoa. What do you, come on. No, nobody wants to hear that. He says, Billy Bush is the worst. I hate him. Forget him. We're only doing it. I hate Access Hollywood. We're only doing entertainment tonight. And you go back and your boss says, why the hell did you lose the biggest ratings machine in television? What did you do? Why did you tell him that? It's not your job to tell him how to behave. Who are you, his mom? No, he's giving us sound bites about Rosie O'Donnell and all these other people every single night. He's a machine. You don't get in the way of him. That's who Trump is. He's punitive. He's vindictive. He's got his best friends for the moment. He'll throw you aside and turn on you in a second. You're his chief of staff 1 minute. The next minute, he's trying to throw you in jail. I mean, woo. And I think J.D. Vance and Marco Rubio, two people that both want to become the next president, both of them sit there next to him. And I just, when Trump is talking, I only look right in their faces. I look at Marco and he's like, oh God. Oh, Jesus. Oh, my God. And he has to find and I think Marco Rubio does it brilliantly. Find something to say that's supportive of the president that he won't detect as unsupportive, and yet also a gentle, light wink to the audience and to the voters and to us. I'm a sane person. I know what's going on. Don't worry. We have 3 more years to survive. I wish, but I got it. I think I can read that from him. And J.D. Vance, a little bit the same. He's a little more yippee-ki-yay since his comments of 2016. He hasn't radically changed that much. I think he's probably changed a little. But I get the sense that as soon as, if it continues, if the MAGA movement or the Republicans win again after Trump, I think very quietly the plaques on the Walk of Fame at the White House that call Sleepy Joe Biden was an idiot, literally for other, White House tour people to see, and Barack Hussein Obama and his Walk of Fame with Joe Biden's picture as an auto pen, this unpresidential, sophomoric, childish behavior. I think immediately one of those two guys will pull that down. Don't you think? If Rubio was president, he would just be like, we're not going to keep these Trump's little petty vendettas, that were put up on the wall with expensive plaques paid for by the taxpayer on the wall. We're not going to keep them on the wall. These are coming down. You're pretty sure that both of those men will do that. And they're in a tough spot. But I have to think that if Trump leaves and they continue the total disregard for the rule of law, they don't return inspector generals to different federal agencies so we can have a little thing called oversight. It would be wonderful if they'd rip Trump's name. There you go. Down from the wall on the Kennedy Center. You asshole. Come on. It's so petty. I got to think that they immediately fix all that. Your allegiance to him needs to end immediately, right? I think that'll be the question. Here's Nicola. I'm a European, so none of my business. Just one request. Hands off Greenland, and please don't let him ruin our friendship. We have too much history together. There you go. We all think the Greenland thing Greenland is a joke. He can't be serious. I don't know. I don't think so. I do think, the funny thing is he loves performance. We already have tremendous access to Greenland. We have a relationship with them where they have no problems. Denmark is our friend and our ally. If something is going on in that part of the world and, it's helpful to us to fend off something from Russia, or Greenland is all about it. Please, come do the work here. They're not they don't have borders saying get out. So this is mostly performative. There's an old Cold War treaty that gives us access to Greenland. They asked us to be there during the Cold War, and it's still in place. So most of this is bullshit. But I get what you're saying. I support the president too. Good. I support him too. I support his best instincts. But I also reserve the right to say this is so wrong. That's supporting the country. Hands off Greenland. Yeah, I think so. I think we all agree with that. By the way, I saw some photos of Greenland. I'd like to go visit Greenland. It looks beautiful. Right? What's her name? Caroline Levitt's talking about buying. I believe he said that on yesterday afternoon's Hot Mics. Who?
A lot of people, when you're ready, Billy, everyone's asking about Alan Jackson.
Okay.
When you're ready.
I'm ready.
That's what that's into.
We've done it with Trump. He lives rent-free in my brain and yours. A day can't go by, and that's the way it's designed. I took the catnip. Alan Jackson. Let's talk about Alan Jackson. That was a shocker. He removed himself from representing Nick Reiner as his criminal defense attorney yesterday. Alan is not going to talk right now, not publicly, no. You look at what he said out front, right? Do we have it? He basically, he said that because of circumstances out of his control, and then, like the turning tires, the biggest part, out of Nick's control, I'm going to have to back away, his legal team. Now, remember, Alan Jackson, here's what was said in the New York Times. The New York Times, in their article yesterday, said, this may suggest that the family has distanced itself from Nick, at least financially. I think that's exactly what happened. Alan Jackson is expensive. It's going to cost north of $5 million to defend Nick Reiner and to prove him not guilty for reasons of insanity. I think there's, if what we've learned about his schizoaffective disorder and schizophrenia is real, and I think it is. I mean, what reason do you have to not to believe that? That this is something that is very winnable, and certainly winnable for Alan Jackson. I know this. He was hired by, according to sources this is from the New York Times, lawyers of the Reiner family hired Alan Jackson and his team the day after the murders. And he's expensive. But you have to assume that the Reiner estate is wealthy and north of $5 million. Is this what Rob and Michelle Reiner would want? Looking at their political beliefs and their alignments, it seems to be up their alley. I know how much Rob loved Nick. I interviewed the two of them together. I saw it. He did everything. I mean, they did everything to accommodate and to try and help Nick. But you could see the frustration in Alan Jackson's face yesterday, could you not? When he was on the steps of the LA Superior Court, he was mad. He was mad that he had to stop his work. I can tell you, Alan's been working on this. No doubt Alan Jackson and his team have been hard at work since December 15th. While we were all, at holiday Christmas parties, he was working. And then I don't know when, but at some point it was yanked away from him. Alan didn't walk away. And of course it's about money, right? You got to pay for this. The biggest expense to defend Nick Reiner is top level psychiatric experts. They cost a ton of money in the legal system. And those people, but I can tell you that this, the defense was on a roll. They were working. They have $5 million. They just don't want to pay. I mean, look, I don't know what's going on in there. Maybe, grief is a thing. You can't begin to put myself in the shoes of the other Reiner kids. Grief has stages, right? And maybe immediately you're in agony and sadness over the loss of your parents, and then you look at your brother whom you've tried to help and you love, and you see how lost he is that he could do something like that, because you know how much he actually loves his parents, and yet, oh God, he was out of his right mind and he did this, and so you're sad for him too. And then time goes, a few weeks go by, and now you're angry, like it turns to anger. Or you find out, wait a minute, we've spent how much so far in 3 weeks doing all the filing and the subpoenas and the lining up of the experts and the building of the case file, and how much? Oh, shoot. Then you see that number and you realize, oh my God, it is going to be north of $5 million. And then wait a minute, I don't know. Now it's in the hands of Kimberly Green, the public defendant. And Alan Jackson will presumably be compensated for the work he's done, because I know I'm sure, and he will hand a case file to Kimberly Green, the public defendant, and this will be her biggest moment. The problem that Kimberly Green has, one, the new DA, remember, the DA in Los Angeles is Nathan Hochman, and he won in a landslide over his predecessor, George Gascon. George was very weak on crime. He let people out of jail all the time. You could smash and grab at a CVS and be on the street the next day. Go in and get a cup of coffee at the police station and walk out the next day. Hochman has something to prove. He has to show that he's tough on crime. It's the reason why he's there. And he said that he was confident the jury will convict Nick Reiner outright for the brutal murders of his parents. So you know where he stands. Kimberly Green has her work cut out for her. I don't think the taxpayers are going to give her a budget to go and get the psychiatric experts that Alan Jackson definitely would have corralled and used. So here's Alan. Look how mad he is.
And to his best interests. In fact, we know, we're not just convinced, we know that the legal process will reveal the true facts of the circumstances surrounding this case, Nick's case. You know, a lot's been printed of late, over the last 3 weeks. A lot has been printed. Printed about Nick, printed about his family, printed about the circumstances. Speculation is in print. On December 15th, in the early morning hours, I was in New York at the time, and I got a call. Me and my team, we dropped everything. And for the last 3 weeks, we have devoted literally every waking hour.
He's pissed.
To protecting Nick and his interests.
Yeah.
We've investigated this matter top to bottom, back to front. What we've learned, and you could take this to the bank, is that pursuant to the laws of this state, pursuant to the law in California, Nick Reiner is not guilty of murder. Print that. Print that.
Okay, here's Tammy says he's pissed, and I don't think it had to do with money. It absolutely had to do with money, and he is pissed. There's no question about that, so you're half correct. Here's interesting. California law says you lose your inheritance if you kill your parents. Yeah, this is called the Slayer statute, meaning if you slay or kill your parents or somebody in your family, you are no longer eligible to inherit money from them. That's the Slayer statute, except if you're not guilty for reasons of insanity, right? So just remember the first two words in the insanity plea: not guilty. You don't know who you are. An insanity plea is, let's say Nick Reiner, the defense was God came to me and said, I heard the Lord tell me to remove these evil people. Okay. Geez, in that case, he thought he was doing the right thing, right? Because he was doing the moral thing. Whereas I have the Satan's army, commanded me to do this. Well, then you would not be in the moral right. So, yeah. The fact of the matter is, if everybody inherits money, all the kids inherit the same amount of money, and that's got to be a giant pile of money that Rob Reiner, a very successful director, had. Then Nick would be able to pay for this once he was found not guilty. The Slayer statute does not apply if he's found not guilty, because in that case, through that lens, he didn't do it. Why is Alan so mad, Billy? Well, look at him. He's been working. You saw his face tirelessly for 3 weeks straight on building this defense. And now we're stopping? It wasn't like, yeah, I decided to walk away. It's too much for me. I look at the kid, I don't believe, he did a terrible thing. I'm doing this. No. This was pulled, obviously, by the family. There's no question. And I think there's an article in the New York Times you can read yesterday. They suggested that it's money. And I think everybody knows it's, right, every instinct that it is money. It's been reported that it's a $200 million estate. Yeah. Look, I don't know what the Reiner, kids do for work or whatever, or how much they need the inheritance, or if they're, I don't know how that all breaks down. I just know that there clearly was a change of heart. And I see right there all over Alan's face, and know him pretty well anyway, that's a man who is ready to try that case. That's a man who, like all his cases, thought he could win that case. So, good luck, Kimberly Green, public defender. You're going to get a file from Alan Jackson. Here's some people to call. Here's what we've done so far. And off she goes. This could be a huge moment for her. But again, she's got her hands tied behind her back as far as what she can do with experts and how much money she can spend. Harvey Levin said it's not about the money. I don't agree with Harvey. I can't see how it wouldn't be. I love Harvey, but it's certainly part to do with that. Hockman, is tough on crime. Either their office will not prosecute my husband for strangling me. What? There was physical evidence left behind. He says he's tough on crime. He's not. Oh, I'm so sorry. Here's one. Schizophrenia is awful. As a former psych nurse, I will not rush to judgment. Yeah. I love Nathan Hockman. Says, okay. Yeah, look, he destroyed George Gascon, in that election. And back to the beginning, Richard Master, there he is, English Dick. It's madness if you can't see Trump for what he is.
I like what he says, though, because he's not here. English Dick is overseas.
English Dick.
So he has the point of view,
Yeah. We love English Dick. He's a good guy. If I was a journalist, I would inquire, within what capacity did attorneys for the Reiners hire Alan Jackson to represent a beneficiary? It has to be about the money. Yeah. Like when I was in need of a lawyer 9 years ago, as I was being railroaded out of my office, my entertainment lawyer hired a litigator, right? So my lawyer picked up the phone and called the big lawyer, Marshall Grossman, who, may he rest in peace, is no longer with us. He represented Aaron Andrews in the Peeping Tom thing. But my entertainment lawyer, and Rob, of course, as an entertainment lawyer, he can't litigate this isn't his field. He goes through contracts. He goes through terms of a employment contract. So he called Marshall Grossman, the litigator, and hired him and said, "Listen, we need you." And he called me and said, "I got a good litigator for you." And I said, "Thank you." So that's what probably happened here. Alan was hired by the entertainment lawyers, family lawyers, whatever. Anyway, let's see what happens. I think Alan, I'm sure the family will pay, Alan for his work over the last 3 weeks, and Alan will, unfortunately have to walk away, and Nick will get the best that public defense can offer. But with the DA that says he's fully convinced and believes that Nick will be convicted, it seems like there's a tall order there. And the likelihood, or at least the chances of Nick Reiner, spending his days in a small cell in prison are very high. Remember, there's a moratorium on the on executions and the death penalty here, and that Gavin Newsom put into effect when he took over in 2019. The death penalty is on the books, but he put a moratorium on it for the last 6 years, 7 now. So anyway, boy, do we have a lot going on. We will see what's going on with Alan. I hope he comes and joins us to talk about all this when he can. We'll stay on it, and we'll watch what happens. I wonder if Alan Jackson is not involved. There's another thing. If Alan Jackson is not involved, does the whole case just kind of drift off the front page, right? Alan Jackson at least guarantees your front page. If it stays on the front page, it'll be an issue. But I don't know that it will without Alan. Alan's very good at that. Okay. Boom. There we go. Let's hope there's some good news next time we roll, huh? Okay. Big football weekend. Oh my God!
Hopefully, we'll be changing gears.
I'll say this: my ex-wife, Sid, and 2 of my daughters, my middle and my oldest, are in a car right now, or very shortly, heading down to Glendale, Arizona, for the Ole Miss Rebels versus Miami. That's tonight. Can't wait. Hotty toddy. Let's go. I'd love to see Trinidad Chambliss and the Ole Miss Rebels. Okay. Have a wonderful weekend. Thank you, Steve. So much great football. Oh,
Honestly,
we'll get AJ. Yeah.
There's tough stuff going on. But football weekend, and hopefully we'll have a chance to.
We need football.
Yeah, for sure. Hi, Harry.
Who's Harry? Who's Harry then? No, Harry.
I'm hairier than you are.
Rachel Cancer. Thanks, Harry. Okay.